Once upon a time, in the Egyptian desert, a humble hermit monk lived a life of simplicity and devotion. He spent his days weaving baskets, journeying to Alexandria to sell them, and giving most of the money to the poor, keeping only a little for himself. One day, as he walked toward the city, he wrestled with a troubling question. If God is good, just, and all-powerful, why does he allow so much suffering and evil? The pain and sorrow he had seen in the city weighed heavily on his heart. On the road, he met another monk, and they began to talk. The hermit shared his doubts, and the monk, seeing his distress, said, "Pray without ceasing, and do not question what you see. By the time we reach the city, you will understand." The hermit promised to follow his advice, though he remained uneasy. That night, they stayed at a kind family's home. The hosts welcomed them warmly, offering food and shelter. As they prepared for bed, the hermit noticed the monk secretly slipping a beautiful silver vessel into his bag. Shocked, he wanted to speak up, but remembered his promise to stay silent. The next morning, they walked to a river where the monk took out the vessel, made the sign of the cross over it, and threw it into the river. Later, they visited another village. After a meal, a barking dog greeted them in the yard. Without hesitation, the monk killed the dog. A young boy ran out crying, and the monk grabbed his arm and broke it. The hermit was horrified but held his tongue. That night, they stayed in a rundown house occupied by orphaned children. In the morning, the monk set the house on fire before they left. Though furious, the hermit remained silent, determined to honor his promise. As they reached another village, they stopped by a damaged church. The monk picked up a stone and smashed a window, then led the hermit to a nearby tavern, where he made 3 deep prostrations. The hermit was deeply confused but continued praying. Finally, they were offered shelter by a young couple living at the edge of the woods. The next morning, after the couple had left for work, the monk returned and burned their house down. When they reached Alexandria, the hermit could no longer contain his frustration. "Tell me," he demanded, "who are you? You've stolen, killed, destroyed, and disgraced sacred places. You are no monk, you must be a devil." The monk calmly replied, "I am not a devil. I am an angel sent by God to answer your doubts. Let me explain what you've witnessed." "The silver vessel? It was stolen from a church generations ago, bringing a curse upon that family. By returning it to the river, I ensured it would be found and returned to the church, freeing them from their burden. The dog was rabid and would have attacked its family. I spared them from suffering. As for the boy, he was destined to become a robber. Breaking his arm saved him from a life of crime. The children's house? Why did I burn it? Hidden beneath it is silver their parents left. Now they will go to Alexandria to live with their grandfather, a bishop, who will care for them. They will thrive, some becoming priests, others starting families. I know that you are puzzled as to why I threw the stone through the church window and made prostrations in the tavern. I saw that the demons were dancing at the church window and I chased them away with that stone. That church will soon be repaired." In the tavern was a wealthy merchant who had promised the priest that he would pay the cost of repairing the church. That is why I bowed to him. The young couple's house? Why did I burn it down? I burned it down in order to save the young couple from the curse of childlessness. The husband had made a dirty deal and built that house with the money he got from it. That is why they didn't have any children. I saw that he is repenting of his deed and doesn't know how to get rid of his house. Now he will build a more modest house, but on honestly earned money, and the Lord will bless them with children. It was built with dishonest money, preventing them from having children. By burning it, I allowed them a fresh start. They will build a new home and be blessed with children." The hermit stood in awe as the angel concluded, "God's ways are not always clear, but his justice is perfect. What may seem like evil or misfortune often hides a greater purpose." Do you understand? God's mercy for people is shown in everything, but they don't see it and can't understand it. The Lord never commits evil. But people look at his works as misfortunes and sorrows, while the Lord does these things only for the sake of good and for their correction. Therefore do not look at the external side, but try to see God's all-encompassing justice in everything. Trust in his mercy and wisdom. From that day forward, the hermit prayed with a new understanding, seeing God's hand even in the darkest moments. Remember, even when life seems unfair, there may be a reason we don't yet see. Trust, patience, and faith will guide us to understanding. Subscribe for more stories that inspire faith and hope.